Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aquarius for March 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, to see what's new on my blog, and check out to see if I have any room left in my professional development courses, including my astrology apprenticeship program. So what's going on in the month of March? We've got clashes between heavy hitters, Jupiter, Libra, Uranus, and Pluto. We've got our astrological new year. We have the full moon in Virgo. We've got our brilliant new moon, one of the best days of the year to do a vision board, March 27th. And we have Venus retrograde. So we've been talking about Venus retrograde for a while because the shadow period started at the end of January. And so it's been slowly rolling in like a fog or like a tide. You know, when we have a shadow period before a transit, like a retrograde, that's what it's like. It's like a fog rolling in. So if you ever watch the fog roll in, you can see it further away. You can't really smell the dampness. You can't really feel it as much, but you can see it, and it gets closer and closer and closer. And the closer it gets, the stronger the influence becomes. And that's how the shadow periods are. So by March 4th, we're fully in Venus retrograde. And so I want to focus this reading for Aquarius on where Venus is going retrograde. It also turns out that where Venus is going in retrograde also has other planetary placements, which is making what I'm going to talk about a focus from multiple perspectives for you. So then, so I'll break it down. The early and some middle degree placements, about half of the middle degree placements, are going to experience predominantly the Venus retrograde in the second house. The latter half of the middle degree placements and all the late degree placements are going to have the Venus retrograde in the first house. So we'll talk about what all of this means, and really everyone globally is going to experience Venus retrograde with the energy of the first house, because the energy of the first house is Aries and the retrograde is in the sign of Aries. But you latter, middle, and late degree placements, you're also going to have the retrograde in that house. So that adds extra oomph for you. So to determine if you're an early, middle, or late degree placement, you basically take the 30 days that the sun is in Aquarius, break it up into 10s. First 10 days is early, or 10 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. Second 10 degrees, so from 10 to 20 degrees, or from days 10 to 20 of, you know, the sun being in that sign, that's middle degree. And then the late degree placements are the ones from after, you know, basically 20 to 29 degrees. So when we talk about Venus in retrograde, first of all, Venus is the ruler of love, beauty, and money. So we call Venus the triple goddess because she rules three things. So things involving love, beauty, and money are all about going backwards and all about the past. And it doesn't, you know, people get a negative association with retrogrades for whatever reason, because I think we're in a society, you know, societies that everyone just wants to be on full bore, pressing forward all the time without looking to the past or considering feelings or reflecting. And so that type of lifestyle is not conducive to retrograde energies, but the retrograde energies are really important counterbalance for this pushing ahead. So when Venus is in retrograde in the second house, there's actually even more oomph to that transit because Venus rules the second house. And the second house is about earned income, spending habits, values, your material priorities, sustainability, your material assets, and security, physical security, financial security. So all of those things move into a reflective period, or move into a period where you're going back to making money a way you've made it before, or through people you've made it before. So the biggest opportunities come from clients from the past, or ways you've made money in the past. Let's say you're trying to get a job in a certain field and you're not having any luck, but you have a background in another field and you really need a job. You might find your most benefit from going back to something that you did before, going back to a previous company, going back to a type of work. You see, it's like that. If you're a person who's self-employed and you have a client base, you might find that more income comes in from your established client base than from getting new clients at this time. So, you know, that's how we take this energy of retrograde and apply it to the second house. Sometimes money comes back from the past And very often people are looking to assess things they have of value. Overall, I don't recommend it as a time to sell things of great value because you're not seeing clearly about the value of something, or you might not be getting the right information about the value of something, or you might be emotional or stressed about having to sell something, because we do have these Venus Saturn square things that have been going on that are putting pressure on love and money, and people are financially strapped. And if you have something of value that you have access to, Venus retrograde might make you want to sell it, especially since so many planets are going to be moving into Aries. It's like this impulsive necessity to act. But it's not necessarily the best time. However, if you are a bargain hunter and you have extra money that is disposable income for you, that if you buy something and it doesn't pan out, it doesn't matter, it's a bargain hunter's delight, because so many people are not watching my videos and they're going to sell things at way below their cost, just so they want to give it away, they want to get rid of it, and there are many, many people that are going to benefit from that tremendously. So if you are one of those people who look for investments, as long as it meets the rules that I stipulate in that, I have a video and a blog called Venus Retrograde Do's and Don'ts, and I outline my criteria for you to evaluate your circumstance to see if it's a match for whether you should make a purchase or not. I have very specific criteria in there for you to work with, because and they're very extensive. It's a very extensive blog and a very extensive video. Okay, so some questions that you can proactively ask during this transit, or ones that will just naturally come up because of the transit. Do you have a budget? Is it working for you? If you don't have a budget, why not? And how can you get on one? Are you in debt? Are your financial circumstances stable and sustainable? Are you living in a way that at some point in the future is going to catch up with you, or already is? Venus retrograde is one of the absolute best times to be conservative with money overall, especially if you are not having excess money to play around with. It's a time to pay off debt, to get your money in order, to consolidate debt, to make wise decisions. And because of that, I'm calling the theme of this month for Aquarius, I choose now to be smart with money. And there are other things, as you can hear, going on, but I'm choosing that for you to focus on because that's a general overriding theme. Okay, so other questions to ask. Are you saving money? If not, why not? Should you start now? How can you do it? I think that just a standard putting aside 10% at least of what you make. As soon as it comes into your account, just put 10% in a savings account. It's a really good way to establish good savings habits. Maybe you'll want to implement that now. So questions about luxuries. Do you want to have more luxuries? Are you willing to make the trade-offs for your personal relationships and your life and your energy and maybe even your health to have those luxuries? Do you have luxuries but you feel like you're stressed from the upkeep from them? Do you want to live more simply? Are you living sustainably with the planet is another question, and any sustainability research could be helpful now. How are you making money? Do you enjoy it? Is it worth the sacrifices being made? Do you feel like it's in resonance with who you are now? So many people go to school for something and then they're doing that and they have to work to pay off the debt, but they don't necessarily resonate with what they're doing. So this could be a time to ask if maybe you want to start doing something else on the side that could eventually replace that income. Okay, what can you do now to ensure your future security? So basically, I have a list of resources for you for this transit. But one of my favorite resources for this transit, Venus retrograde through the second house, is a book called Tapping into Wealth. You can get it on Amazon. I advise you get it on Audible though, because unless you have a lot of time to read books, Audible, you can listen to it. So it's by Margaret Lynch, and she uses targeted emotional freedom technique, tapping, to get at and clear the roots of your money issues. So if you want to increase your income, if you want to change how you're making money, if you want to get out of debt, if you want to save more, her program, which, on Audible, it's like one credit. It's not very expensive, so it's definitely worth the investment. You'll make much more money from doing this work, I'm sure, than you would spend on this book by a long shot. So I recommend that. And also anything with vocational research, anything that is investigating sustainability. financial advising, saving money on taxes, anything like that, being how you can be more conservative with money, etc. So these are the things that are really coming up for the early and the half of the middle. For the rest of the middle and the late degree placements, you have Venus retrograde in the first house. And this, what I'm about to list, is going to be true for all Aquarius placements, because if you don't have it retrograde in your first house, you still have it retrograde in the sign of Aries for most of its transit. And that's, so what I'm about to list is going to affect you. Okay, so when Venus is in retrograde in the first house, it's very much about your self-esteem, your self-love, which is very often rooted in your upbringing, childhood traumas, difficult things like divorce or other challenging things that happened to your parents or to you when you were a child, can definitely cast a shadow on your future experiences. And at some point you might become aware that patterns in your relationships have an echo from the past. Like, you've always felt that way. You've always felt disappointed. You've always felt lonely. You've always felt betrayed. Whatever the theme is, these things originate from your childhood. So doing work on the birth trauma, on the early traumas, with things like the Presence Process by Michael Brown, and also the Tapping into Wealth is going to get at that too. But just purely for self-esteem work, anything that you can do on developing your self-esteem and establishing your base within yourself and your connection to spirit, instead of looking for happiness outside of you and in how people see you, that's going to be one of the main themes. The first house retrograde of Venus also brings a question about how you're presenting yourself physically, your hair, your wardrobe, your all of those things. But again, it's not the time to spend a bundle in a new wardrobe unless it's totally disposable and you don't care about spending the money if you don't wind up liking the clothes after the transit is clear. But many people, if they spend money on a wardrobe and it doesn't work out for them, then they would have a negative effect from that. So it's not the time to buy a whole bunch of stuff or to make a very big hair or design, home design, any kind of design decision. But it is the time to think about it. So like having a Pinterest board, or a poster board or something that you clip out things that have the essence of what you think you want to convey, and then sit with that over several months. And when the transits are more clear towards the end of May, then you can see which of those things you're still in resonance with or how they've evolved. So basically the first house is very much about reevaluating beauty, wardrobe, fashion, strengthening self-esteem, and taking impeccable care of your sacred body temple. This is one of my missions that maybe you've heard me talk about before. I will talk about it again. I see our physical bodies as churches that house infinite spirit. And not everybody treats their body in a way that is in sync with how you would act if you went into a sacred space. So this transit helps you uncover why you might not be honoring yourself, your physical body, taking care of yourself, and how you can do that. So these are the things that are specific for your sign. My affirmation for the rest of you middle and late degree placements, and one that is appropriate for actually all signs, is I commit to radical self-care. And remember that you can see these affirmations that I make. You can see them on my Instagram account, where you can see pretty versions of them to work with them and have a visual for them and just get regular inspiration. So this is what's going on specific to your sign. Now I want to talk about these clashes of the Titans, what opportunities they have for you, how to work this new moon, how to understand the full moon. So we'll go into all of these details now. So I'm calling the theme of the month for the general transit, so this is relevant for all signs. Summon your inner badass. And what I imagine when I'm seeing the energies of March all coming together is a hero that is walking through a scene that we're observing, and there are difficulties coming at them, and they're standing tall and strong and confident and moving through and being triumphant at the end of the challenges. Every month brings challenges and opportunities and sweet spots. I see challenges always as opportunities. So a month that has more challenges in some ways can be a month full of more opportunities. You know, we have started to ask wrong questions in our lives, I think, or questions that cause us to experience life in a disempowered way. When we ask questions, what's going to happen in the stars that's going to stress me out, or tell me what's going to happen, these are disempowered questions. The questions we want to be asking astrology and in general is, help me understand what's going on here so that I can maximize the potentials for my highest expression. And that's what I focus on. So I want to help you ask different questions, and that's part of summoning your inner badass, because the more empowered questions you ask, the more of an empowered life you will live. So we've got multiple important aspects going on this month, and I'm going to go through them and how I think that we can most use them. There are also some lesser aspects that you definitely will feel, sweet days, challenging days, etc., a longer list of those that you can get when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. You'll get my monthly write-up, which includes a written version of the things that I touch on in the horoscope for the general transits, and it also includes more things that I don't have time to talk about. So if you have signed up for my email newsletter and you're not receiving it, it could be in your spam or social or events folders, because I do send them out every month. Okay, so the first aspect of the month is March 2nd, and this is Jupiter in Libra opposing Uranus in Aries, and this is happening at 20 degrees. So if you have planets near the 20 degrees, you're probably you're going to be affected more than, you know, these aspects without them, but globally everyone will still be experiencing this. So that expression, things come in threes, is astrological, and that's because often things that we're experiencing come from aspects in the sky, and these ones that are big long-term themes, they usually involve what I call the titans, the outer planets. You know, it's like a sumo match between these planets that just carry a massive amount of power and a massive amount of potential. So when you have Jupiter, an outer planet, and Uranus, an outer planet, coming together in what could be considered a challenging aspect called an opposition, they're trying to find balance. You know, an opposition is two opposing forces. They're antagonistic, but they can also become synergistic. So the more you can transcend whatever the issue is, the more those planets will work in synastry. So Jupiter wants to expand, and Uranus wants to innovate. Libra is the planet of the sign of we, and Aries is the sign of me. So we've got a me-we aspect of a theme trying to get things worked out that started at the end of December. And this is in March 2nd, it's the second pass. And then on September 27th, we have the final part of the story. These are like chapters in a story that are ongoing. So it's some sort of breaking free from constraints in relationships. And that's basically the theme. So we might perceive someone as limiting us, or someone might be perceiving us as limiting them. And maybe that is true. But what's probably more true is that we have limitations within us as far as how we can experience relationship, and we project that limitation on all of our relationships because it's coming from the inside. So you have an opportunity here to break free from your pattern within yourself, so you can stop enslaving your partner to play a certain role, and you can stop being attractive to those circumstances that are unfulfilling for you. So that's very exciting. So then on March 4th, we have Venus going retrograde. We've been talking about this for a while because the shadow period started at the end of January. And this transit only happens once every 18 months, and there's a lot that goes along with it. So definitely check out my Venus retrograde do's and don'ts blog and video. I'm also writing some other extensive Venus retrograde blogs that you can look for on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. And the basic gist of Venus retrograde is that Venus, we call Venus the triple goddess because she rules love, beauty, and money. So beauty also includes aesthetics in your environment, art, design, fashion, appearance, things like that. So she's going backwards. And when she goes backwards, it's a time to reconsider everything about love, beauty, and money. It's a time to go back to old ideas, old things that worked, old clients. Many people will revisit previous relationships. People who are staying in the same relationship will revisit topics that came up in the past, for better and worse. Venus retrograde is not just a time where unresolved conflicts can come up, although that is definitely a theme. Anything swept under the rug in love, beauty, or money will come back up to be looked at. But it's also a time where lots of magic can return to those areas of life. You know, you can find money. You can have love return to a relationship where it had left. You know, you can find some riches with your self-esteem development, which is another important topic for this retrograde. So we've got that going on from March 4th through April 15th. And it's going to be retrograde from 13 degrees of Aries back to 26 degrees of Pisces. So in the, we talked about where the Venus retrograde is taking place in the house for your sign. For all signs, we will experience Venus retrograde in Aries, which is similar to the first house, or is the same as the first house retrograde, and 26 degrees of Pisces, which is the same as the 12th house retrograde. So depending on where your placements were for your sign, you might be having the same themes come up, or you might be having some additional themes come up. But the general story of Venus in Aries has to do with self-esteem. It's talking about appearance, fashion, you know, how you put yourself out into the world. Pisces has to do with hidden places. So this is a place where this hidden money can come to you, money that you didn't know that you had, or that you hid from yourself, or that was in the backdrop somehow. You know, it's just stuff from the past involving love, beauty, and money. That's the basic gist of Venus retrograde. So then on March 12th, we have a full moon at 22 degrees of Virgo. And full moons, the best way to manage full moons, I think, is to leave some space around them, because full moons are a time when our emotions just sort of shake off. You know, everything that we've been accumulating for the month coming to fullness is just a time to shake it off, like a dog shakes off water, you know? So often there's something dramatic, or there's something really cool going on that you want to be present for, you know? So I usually keep a little space around the full moons for whenever these manifestations come up, because the best way to deal with them is to be present with them. So Virgo rules health, your daily work, it rules pets. So it's possible that something involving those things could come to your attention, or need attention, or come up as a focus at this time. The full moon is also making quite a lot of aspects, opposing Mercury and Chiron, trining Pluto, and squaring Saturn. So we've got a lot of power at this full moon, I think, to overcome the energy of woundedness. And this is going to be a theme this month because of aspects with Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid that is called the Wounded Healer. And the idea of the Wounded Healer, or my understanding of the Wounded Healer, and as I've observed it through countless charts, is that it's a place of weakness. That deep place where if someone gets at that, then you don't know what comes out. It gets ugly, you know? It's a very wounded place, or a very weak place for you. So the idea of Chiron, the highest vibration, is that you strengthen, you focus your attention on that weakness or that vulnerability, and it becomes a strength. So that's the transcendent version. So like in the instance of the energy in Virgo rules health. Maybe some people have health weaknesses. Maybe they have to work harder to attain health. And when that happens, they might wind up being healthier and staving off other health issues because they had a weakness that made them focus on their health. And if they didn't have that meticulous focus, then they could have created other problems maybe, or maybe they wind up teaching or helping people from it, or improving the lives of others because of what they've had to go through. So this is just an example of how you can take any woundedness that comes up this month or ever and convert it into something positive and powerful and supportive. So on March 20th, we have the beginning of the astrological new year. I never feel like the new year is starting on January 1st, especially when it's in the midst of a retrograde like it was this year and some other years. So March is when the planets start to move into Aries, and the planet of Aries, or the sign of Aries, is the baby of the zodiac. It's that bursting forth, that energy of spring, something new beginnings. So you'll see as the planets are moving into this sign, people get impulsive, they get excited, they get wild, they want to do stuff, they feel active. And this is the energy of New Year. So on March 27th, we have the new moon in Aries, and I always consider the new moon in Aries to be like the kickoff party for the new year. You know, it's like the new year starts around March 20th, and then when the new moon in Aries comes, it's like, yay, okay, it's a new year, let's have a party. That's like New Year's Eve, you know. So this new moon in Aries, all the new moons in Aries, so the one new moon that we have in Aries a year, is the time, the best time of the whole year besides your birthday, to do vision boards or other seed planting for your future, things that you want in that upcoming year. So definitely take full advantage of that. This new moon also carries a lot of power. It's conjunct Chiron and Venus. It's a square Saturn, and it's coinciding with a Mars in Taurus and Neptune sextile, which is a 60-degree angle. It's a positive angle. So there's, again, a lot of power behind this moon phase. On March 30th, we have our last big aspect of the month, which is the second Jupiter square with Pluto. Similar to how we've been talking about this Jupiter opposition with Libra, how it happened once last year, so did this Jupiter and Pluto aspect. And this one's happening at 19 degrees. On November 24th of last year, this Jupiter and Pluto first pass happened. Now on March 30th, the second pass happens. And then on August 4th, the last pass will happen. So we've got these 3 chapters of this ongoing story. And one of the main themes, I think, of this ongoing story has to do with ambitions, rising ambitions, and the idea of competition and what we have to do or what we're willing to do or what we think we have to do to succeed. In a third dimensional reality, there is competition. There's focus on competition. And there are all of the energies that go along with competition. It's kind of gross, you know. It can be very, very low vibe and not conducive to conscious evolution to focus too much on the energy of competition. My suggestion, I invite you to use this energy to transcend competition and tune into divine timing and your divine path and purpose. So if you're out there doing what you're supposed to be doing and you feel like Spirit is guiding you and you're on track and you're speaking your truth or doing your truth, then it doesn't really matter what anyone else is doing. You will attract to you the people and the customers that will be perfect for you. And so really there's no competition on the spiritual plane. And this is an affirmation from Florence Scovel Shinn, who is one of my all-time favorite teachers. She's not in form anymore that I know of. She wasn't even when she came to me. She had passed a long time ago. So she was teaching about, she was actually teaching about Jesus's work as a metaphysician, teaching about transcending mundane reality while still in form, like bringing heaven onto earth in our experience. And that is an affirmation I got from her. So there's no competition on the spiritual plane. So if you are conducting yourself in a way that is high vibrational, if you are doing everything that is in sync with your beliefs and your values, then you can transcend this energy, you know? So you just check in with yourself and see how this is true for you, and just look out for it, because these themes are sometimes very subtle. You know, sometimes they come more into the forefront, but overall they're very subtle sometimes. So these are the main things that I am seeing for the month for the general transits. So you have plenty of opportunities to summon your inner badass. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my blogs. I have blogs on all different kinds of topics, not just astrology. If you want to learn astrology with me, then I might still have some slots available in my astrology apprenticeship program. If you want to bring your business online, check out my Creating Successful Online Business course. And if you would like to be a coach as your profession, then you can check out my coach certification course. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.